Okay, if you guys watched the video that I recently did on the cursed houseplant unboxing, you'll know that I got this crazy face planner, and so many of you had suggestions of what plant I should put in there. Well, drumroll please, the plant we ended up going with was none other than the curly lipstick plant. What do you guys think? Was it a good choice? Did I mess up royally? Should we put something else in here? Let me know in the comments down below. Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Caitlin from Leave Me Alone Plants, and today I am going to be talking about my curly lipstick plant. Now, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I have known about these plants for a long time, and let me just set this guy down before I do something dumb like drop him. The funny thing is I was never really into them. I thought that they were kind of just boring and super basic looking. And then I saw one in real life, and I am now obsessed with these plants. If you don't know about lipstick plants, they come in a couple different varieties. There's also the Black Pagoda, which is, oh my god, one of my favorite plants of all time, but this curly variety is really cool. Now, the care for them is going to be very similar to other lipstick plants, so if you're familiar with those, that will be a good baseline for you, but there are some specific things that are going to be unique to this plant in general. So if you have one of these plants, or if you are looking to get one of these plants, then keep on watching, and I will get into it right now. So as for where you're going to find these plants naturally, although they do look like they're something out of Dr. Seuss, in fact they are found in areas like Malaysia and are really going to be native to a kind of tropical warm environment. So with that in mind, that will be kind of the habitat that they're after, but the thing that I really love about these plants is you can get away with a lot with them and they will definitely tolerate it. Now, one of the biggest things that will scare me away from plants when I'm buying them is if it's a plant that needs a ton of humidity. And luckily, despite being from a tropical, really, humid environment, these plants actually have quite succulent leaves. I find in my home that is very low humidity because I live here in Arizona. I haven't noticed any ill effects from the low humidity, and yeah, it really just seems to do its thing. Now, that brings us into watering, and honestly, I will say I think watering is one of the hardest things to get right with these plants. So if you're struggling a little bit in the beginning and you're not quite sure what to do, don't worry. I honestly struggled a little bit at the beginning as well, so we'll get it dialed in for you. Now, in nature, these plants are going to be epiphytic. You guys know I love talking about epiphytic plants here. I basically mention it in every video, but if you're new to the channel and not familiar, an epiphytic plant is basically going to be a plant that in nature doesn't necessarily opt to grow in a soil medium. It might kind of grow in the crook of a tree or on a log or somewhere else, kind of just attaches itself to it, and as it rains it will kind of collect water in that area, but it doesn't really grow in soil. So with that said, the soil that you pick should definitely be something that is very well draining and isn't going to keep that moisture just trapped on those roots, because it's not really going to like that. However, what I have also found in my personal experience is that these plants don't like to dry out completely. Now, if you've been around for a while, you guys will know that I am a bit of an underwaterer, and what I have found is that when I was underwatering this plant is actually like my leaves became almost like soft and felt like a completely different plant, because naturally these are pretty thick and again almost a little semi-succulent like. So it seems as though these roots can kind of die back pretty quickly if they're not getting enough water. For me personally, I go in about once a week and water this guy. Just before I notice the soil is like completely bone dry and give him a full drink, I let the water drain out of the bottom and then I place him back in his little face pot. Additionally, this might be overly cautious, but something that I just like to kind of try and do with plants that I have like this, where it's a little more dense on the top here, I kind of like to just like lift the plant off the soil a little bit as I water it, if that makes sense. My reason for this, and again it's probably overcautious, but I've had bad experiences in the past with stem rot on plants that kind of like lay on top of the soil, so I try and just prevent that and mitigate any risk that we might have down the road for that. So again, might be overkill, but just something that I do, so yeah. As for light on these guys, I find that they're pretty tolerant of all different lighting situations. Right now, I'd say I have him in kind of a moderate light, and he still seems to be doing great. Of course, I wouldn't recommend putting this guy in a direct light. They can definitely burn despite having a little bit of a thicker leaf. They're not, bulletproof, so try not to go too intense here. But what you may start to notice is if you're getting stems and they're looking a little leggy, There's long like inner nodes between the leaves. That might be a good indicator that your plant is not getting enough light and you may want to bump it up at that point. I guess with that said, this is probably a good place to address flowering. And yes, these plants do indeed flower, and in fact, it is where they actually get their name from. So the blooms on these plants, they tend to be most prominent around summer and fall time, but they can kind of bloom anytime throughout the year if they're getting enough light. However, when they do bloom, they kind of have a little black base and then a red flower that comes out. And of course, for that reason, it looks like a lipstick, and that, my friend, is why it's called a lipstick plant. I feel like I had a missed opportunity where I should have been wearing red lipstick in this video, but I guess next time. I'll put some pictures over here of the blooms. They're super pretty, really vibrant, and although I'm not somebody who's super crazy about like getting my plants to flower, if you are, they're a really, really great option to have in your house. Now, I have found this plant to be a really fast grower for me, which I love, and these stems can get anywhere from about 2 to 3 feet long. So if you're looking for a plant that's going to be beautiful and trailing, and you don't have to wait forever, like something like a Hindu rope, where it's going to take years and years and years to get long and beautiful and flowing, I think that this is a really, really great option for you. Now that brings us into propagation. While I have not propagated this plant myself, I kind of did a little bit of reading on how people have propagated these. Now, of course, you can do a typical stem cutting, which is just going to cut it about 4 to 6 inches below the base. And you're just going to want to make sure that you give yourself a node to work off of. Now this is where I've seen some people run into issues. It seems like people don't have great success with doing water propagations on these. Most people seem to have the best luck if you just pop them into soil from there. However, if you have had success in water propagating these in the past, drop it in the comments down below, because I would be just curious to know, I guess, how it went for you and if it is possible, because it seems like people kind of struggle there. Now, as for other things to watch for with these plants, the good news is they are considered to be non-toxic to pets. So if you have little doggos running around your house or cats, you're good to go with these, although I could definitely see cats being like highly attracted to these. I've been tempted to just like touch this. I feel like I have been touching this the whole time that we've been sitting here. So I don't know, if you have cats, maybe put it somewhere that they can't get to it, but even if they do, it is considered non-toxic, which is great. The only other thing that I would like to highlight about these plants is I like to check it very regularly for pests, and that's just due to the nature of these leaves. With them being kind of curly and folded in on themselves, in my opinion, it is the perfect place for pests to hide, and I can see this being a really, really difficult plant to treat for pests just because there are so many leaves and hiding spots for things to get in there. So I don't want to take any chances and have been really proactive about just making sure that this guy does not have any problems like that. That is basically all I have to say about this plant. If there's something I missed, if there's something that you have questions on, please drop it in the comment section down below, and I will do my very best to get back to you in a timely manner. If you're interested in this plant and are having a hard time finding it, I do have them in my shop periodically, so I will put the link down below for it. At the time of filming this video, I have just sold out of them. It seems as soon as they come into the shop, they like instantly go and sell out, so you gotta be quick.
Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
But if you are interested in them, check it out, or check out for other plants that you might potentially be interested in. Before you go, all the normal good stuff, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. I think that's a thing that YouTubers say. I never say it, but now we're saying it. Thank you guys so much for sticking around until the end of this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.